I'm here with Antoine Lassiter.
Yes.
I'm so glad to see you.
Yep.
I'm glad that we get to be here together
Yeah.
today, and
'Cause
I'm
we've
glad
been
that
Facebook friends forever.
Facebook friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're together, part of that first 40
Yeah.
churches.
Yeah.
And you are at Think Kingdom Church
Yes.
in Kannapolis.
That's right.
Did I
It's
say
in
it right?
Yep. Kannapolis. It's in the Charlotte metro area.
Okay, so what I would love for you to do is to just take a second and to tell
Yeah.
us about your church and to tell us your story.
Okay. So the church is Think Kingdom, based on Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom. So everything that we do should be about God's kingdom,
And then everything else will be added.
and everything else will be added.
Gotcha.
And so I spent a large part of my life going after the things to be added to my life
Ooh.
without the kingdom in
Yeah.
mind. And so my wife and I, we went through this place where, business was booming and we were like entrepreneurs, and it came to a screeching halt. And I never forget the day that everything was falling apart, and a pastor friend texted me and said, read Matthew 6:33. I mean, literally out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I read it, man, and I just started crying because I realized that my whole life, I grew up in the church. My
Yeah.
grandfather was a pastor. My whole life, I was seeking after other things outside of God, and then adding God to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that? It's like, yeah, God's going to bless it because.
God's an accessory. He's a side chick. Can I
Exactly.
say side chick? God is a side chick?
Yeah,
You
it
probably
was,
can't
was
say
like that. And
Yeah.
so went through this period of just rediscovering who God was in our lives and praying through things. And we started a Bible study in a sports bar. It was the coolest thing, man. We had like these cats coming to the sports bar, and we became known as the Christian group. And they put us in this special section, and I wanted to reach people that wouldn't necessarily come to church.
Right.
And then we're in the Bible Belt. We in like the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Right.
And I realized that to reach this group that I was after, I had
Yeah.
to do something different.
Yes.
And so I had to think kingdom. I had to think, how would Jesus do this?
Yes.
And so we grew the men's Bible study. My wife then became led the women's Bible study. And then we became a church a year and a half later.
That's what's up.
So it was the dopest experience in the world.
That's organic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's because
I had no intentions of planning a church.
And what were you seeking? You were seeking first
The kingdom.
The kingdom.
And wanted guys to see the kingdom work in their life.
So you didn't just start a service somewhere.
No,
You
no,
didn't.
no,
You
no.
didn't have a service with a band and
No.
you took out flyers to the world.
Yeah.
No, you started
Yeah.
with discipleship.
Yep.
Wow.
Discipleship was what I was missing in my own life, and I wanted to be to them what I needed.
So now
Yeah.
that you're a church,
Yeah.
with leadership,
Yes.
and you've been seeking discipleship. You've continued to seek discipleship.
Yep.
If someone were to come visit you, say
Yeah.
on a weekend or something like
Yeah.
that, what would they be experiencing? What would they see? What would they?
Well, this season, man, we've taken everything off the stage and put it in the middle of the sanctuary.
Yeah.
We want this living room feel. We
Yes.
want people to come home, and we want
Right.
them to invite them to our space. And so they're gonna see people who love them,
Right.
different types of people. From we are a multicultural church, social economic disparities in our church.
Right.
We love it. We are a smaller church.
Yeah.
Typical Sunday, anywhere between 75 to 80 people. But what they're going to feel prayerfully is love, acceptance into our family.
Yes.
And they're just going to get loved on. And we want to be a church that the engine is discipleship in a true sense of the word. Messy, walking with people, doing life on life.
Messy. Real church,
Yeah.
real discipleship is
Yeah.
not clean cut.
No.
What I love that you're doing is you could feel the heart of discipleship from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You found a place where people would come
Yeah.
that were not feeling comfortable in a church. So
Yes.
even when you have a service now,
Yeah.
you're trying to find ways to break down walls, bring
Yeah.
down barriers,
Yeah.
so people can come in and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You're probably not preaching in a robe.
No, absolutely not.
There's probably not any
Yeah.
pews.
No,
Um,
just chairs. We're in a circle, man. And when I'm one of the elders of the church.
Yeah.
I do majority of the teaching, but we're in the middle of the auditorium, the sanctuary, man. And it's just organic. We pray corporately together.
Yes.
And we invite people into this space. And we're imperfect. We're not all together. We're not trying to be. We're really
No.
trying to be ourselves. Doesn't mean that we're not trying to be excellent in areas.
Yeah.
But we're really just trying to be ourselves.
Man,
Yeah.
that is so beautiful, and I love that somebody who is just burned out on church, somebody who has just experienced the high church, someone who's even experienced the hierarchy of church can come in and see that the foot of the cross is level.
Yep.
And so that's what
Absolutely.
you're establishing. You're breaking down barriers. God is using you in that way. So let me ask you this now. If people came and visited you, what type of pastor could they expect? What would they expect if they came and saw you? And
so
met you?
I'm one of the elders. There's 4 elders. I'm more of a teaching elder, but we all shepherd.
Yes.
They do the majority of the shepherd. My role over the last couple years have changed.
Yeah.
But we have like Pastor Gary, Elder Nate, Elder Tony, and then we have just a dynamic women's leadership and women ministry, and it's just really. I mean, we're not perfect, but I will say the love that they feel, inviting them into our space, not just for Sunday, but throughout the week. That's what I think I love. And that's what I think I love about the family that my Boulevard is creating. Because at one point I thought we were so different.
Right.
But different in a negative sense. Like, man, is anybody else? I feel like Elijah.
Yeah.
Does anybody else understand the community and the family? And then being invited into the family and understanding, wait, you mean I don't have to do church like that? I can do church that's authentically us.
Yes.
And that's been so great for us.
And so even with the relationships that you have with other people within My Boulevard, is that you can have relationships where you don't have to explain yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Like
they get you.
We have Sabbath Sundays where I think it's 3 or 4 times a year. We just don't have church. And we invite our members to go visit other churches, like just be with family.
Yeah.
And when we started doing this, and the elders and I were talking, it was like, should we do this?
Yeah.
And sometimes it felt like from traditional settings, which is nothing wrong with, we're like, hey, that's how you kill momentum.
Right.
But we really want to create spaces of rest.
Yeah.
Make sure that we're whole. Make sure that we understand that service is a thing, but not the thing.
And your church is not synonymous with kingdom. Like in the end, kingdom is kingdom.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Your church is within the kingdom.
Within the kingdom.
You are not the kingdom.
That's right.
Man, I love this. So, if you are in the Kannapolis, Charlotte region, and you wanna visit, you wanna see what Antoine is doing out there, you can contact him. How can they contact you?
Website thinkkingdom.info.
Okay.
On social media, Think Kingdom, Instagram, Facebook. We also have a text system for prayer that we throw out there, 704-939-6723. We have about 500 people that we send out, hey, if you have a prayer request, and we just pray for.
Yes.
We really just want to be a part of our community, add value to our community. And so, again, sometimes people come in and we consider our church like an urgent care. You don't stay too long.
Right.
It's triage sometimes. And sometimes, man, we get people healthy.
Yes.
And they serve other churches.
Wow.
And it's the dopest thing, but it's also the hardest thing, too.
You're so much more mature than me. I'm like hanging on to people.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard, bro.
Yeah.
It's hard because sometimes when a person comes and they need healing, you could see how much value they could bring to your church family.
Yes.
And we've had a couple instances where people would say, man, I need to get right with my church that I left.
Wow.
And I want to go back. And a part of me like, man, that's dope. Then a part of me like, yo, you could add so much value here.
And sometimes somebody will get healing in your church.
Yep.
And your church now reminds them of their worst times.
Yep.
And so they got to go someplace else.
Absolutely.
Or they're being abused by their husband and they got to move.
That's it.
Or they got to get away from their dealer. They got to get away from their gang.
Yeah.
And like those kind of gospel goodbyes are so painful, but they're good for kingdom, right?
Yes. Yep. And that's why we have to think kingdom, like, because our church can be a stepping stone to someone finding who they are in Christ, church planning, you name it, and we just want to be a part of it.
Think kingdom. I've been like saying it already on accident.
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be a part of the First 40 with you.
Yeah, likewise.
And it's good to have a brotherhood where we can encourage each other and not always have to explain ourselves. So blessed. Blessed to have you here.
I appreciate that, man.
Thanks for talking with us.
Yep.